What's up, YouTube? We're going to do another video game discussion video today. Today I wanted to talk about whether or not you should buy an Xbox One or Xbox One S in 2020. So specifically, let's talk about the Xbox One S, because that's what I have. So the Xbox One S is basically the base model now. It's a significant improvement to the original console, the big bulky one. Those ones had some issues, and a lot of their hard drives started to fail, and a lot of their disk drives particularly also started to stop reading discs. I have a lot of friends who have the original Xbox One that bought it prior to the One S coming out in whatever 2017, 2016. And they've had it for 5 years now at this point, and their Xboxes don't read discs anymore. That sucks. But, they still subscribe to Game Pass or whatever. They just download stuff and play it. But the current models are much better. I would not recommend at all purchasing a used old model. The original one, you get the One S or the One X. Even the One S all digital is pretty cool. And it's pretty cheap. But let's get into the price of the Xbox One. So, the modern current gaming console, it is currently President's Day. We're kind of willowing down the President's Day sales. And, lots of stuff went on sale. Currently, it looks like online, depending on what retailers you go to, I'm just looking at Walmart here, the One S all digital one is $160. Now that's the one that doesn't have the disc drive, but it comes with a controller, it comes with Fortnite, of course, because Fortnite's free, but it comes with like an update pack. It comes with Sea of Thieves, which is still a $60 game, and it comes with Minecraft as well. So that's pretty good for $160, plus if you get Game Pass, I mean, you've got access to everything, and that's really, I think, what the Xbox One S 1TB is all about. And if you haven't played a lot of particularly the Microsoft exclusives for this generation, that one might be the way to go, because especially if you have a PS4 already, because you can get them super cheap, and for $160 doesn't take up much space. It's a slim little model. If you want to get Game Pass for a little while to play Forza and a couple of the other games that you missed, Gears of War, what else is on there? Halo's cool, actually. The newest Halo is really good. I like it. Both the Master Chief Collection and Halo 5. Really good. I like them both a lot. State of Decay is kind of fun. It's like a cool zombie survival thing. It was glitchy at first, when it first came out, so I don't know that it got rave reviews, but it's actually pretty cool now. I kind of dig it. Early access to Tomb Raider games is fun. I love the Tomb Raider games, particularly. Like, if you're a fan of the Uncharted stuff, the way they redid Tomb Raider is super good. It's like Uncharted, but with more RPG elements and better. It's really good. I'm really enjoying the new Tomb Raiders. And of course, Game Pass. Game Pass has all of this stuff and what have you. So, if you want it, I would say, depending on what your needs are, if you don't have a system, I don't know that I'd necessarily get the Xbox One over the PlayStation. Even still, I have them both. I still think I play my PlayStation more, but I do have more stuff on my PlayStation, but that's not to say the Xbox One is bad. I still think it's really good, and I still really like it, and I play it a good bit. So let's get in. So for the games, Xbox has a weaker first-party lineup, and if you have a gaming PC, you can get most of these games for your PC, so it's probably not necessary, particularly if you have a Windows PC set up for gaming. You may not need to buy an Xbox One. Just get the controller, because it is the best controller, for sure. Definitely the best controller. I have a couple complaints, but for the most part, the Xbox One controller is the best one. So let's get into the controller. Xbox One controller. Keep it simple, stupid. Very similar to the Xbox 360 controller, with a few tweaks here and there, but seems to works for me really, really well. So I'm not the biggest fan of this D-pad. I think the D-pad on the PS4 is better. However, pretty much everything else is better on this. The sticks, these sticks are amazing. These are the best sticks on any console, any controller ever. They're smooth, They're nice. I like the divots. My thumb fits perfectly. It's kind of a bigger controller too, and I have man-sized hands, so it works well. I also prefer the triggers to the L and R buttons. I think the triggers work better for shooting games. So now that I have one, anything that's like a shooting game I want to play, I'm usually looking to get it on the Xbox as opposed to getting it on the PlayStation, because I prefer the Xbox triggers on that controller. The bumpers are okay. I don't know. Those aren't as good as the trigger, but the triggers are great. Also, the triggers have vibration feedback in them, so they do vibrate when you shoot. It's not quite the haptic feedback that the next generation is going to have, but the vibration in the Xbox controller is much more precise. There's more motors. You can feel it in different ways, and particularly for the Xbox exclusives like Forza. Really, it feels really good in accelerating. It just, you kind of get all of that, and braking, and the rumble features in this is really superior. So really like it, especially for the rumble features. And just the controller itself is great. It's an awesome controller. This generation, we were like, particularly, these are the best controllers this generation for both PlayStation and Xbox. They were really phenomenal. So I really dig this controller a lot. My only other complaint is that it takes batteries, and it just doesn't, you don't just plug it in and charge it. The nice thing about the PlayStation controller is you just charge it. It has the built-in battery. Now, the battery only lasts 6 or 7 hours in the PlayStation controller, but, you know, the batteries that you have to buy for this, I mean, it comes with batteries, but then those die pretty much 6 or 7 hours, and then you have to put new batteries in. You know, it kind of adds to the cost of the controller. The controllers were both, whatever, $55, $60 brand new. But then with Xbox, if you want to buy charging stuff and everything else, you really have to, you know, spend more money on the controller. So, you know, it's kind of like an investment and then another investment on top of that. You can really kind of get carried away as far as Xbox accessories are concerned, more so than PlayStation. I kind of find that Xbox accessories tend to cost more. But, you know, if you're just going with a straight controller and you have rechargeable batteries, that's what I did. I just bought, instead of buying new batteries, I just bought a $10 Energizer 4-pack of rechargeable batteries and their charger, and calling it a day. That's been fine for this. Just swap the batteries out. They're plugged in real close to my Xbox. When I need them, I just flop them out. So no big deal there. Plus, the PowerA controllers, the wired ones, are also very good for the Xbox One. They have rumble. It's not as good of rumble as the OEM controllers, but they're probably the best of the PowerA controllers, in my opinion, right now. I actually haven't used a PowerA for PS4, but between Xbox and Switch, the controller looks pretty much the same. The PowerA controller does, but the Xbox One is better, in my humble opinion, but they're pretty close. And they're like $20, $25. Really cool. So controllers, I'd say Xbox probably has the best ones of this generation. That's probably the top. Nobody did better than Xbox as far as controllers are concerned. So we've talked about games. Let's talk about the hardware. So the Xbox One S hardware. Now, it's a Microsoft system. You know, that being said, it takes some troubleshooting, for sure. I definitely had to troubleshoot my Xbox 360 a good bit. I got Red Ring of Death. I did end up getting a Slim at some point, and you know, it's not, it still works to this day, it's fine, but Microsoft products, particularly their software, their update software, does tend to need some troubleshooting. You're going to have to go in and play with the menu and play with the settings sometimes to get things to work right, and it's going to need lots of random restarts and things like that. I've had a little bit of this, not too much. I'm pretty savvy as far as, you know, troubleshooting systems are, but I can say without a doubt that within the last 2 months or so that I've had an Xbox, I've definitely had to troubleshoot it more than I ever had to troubleshoot my PS4 in the last, like, however long I've had it, 3 years, 4 years, something like that. So it's really, it's not quite as user-friendly. So if it's, you know, you're a little kid or you're not that great at troubleshooting consoles and stuff, most of it just takes a restart. You just have to restart the console. But if, you know, if you're looking for something a little less wonky. It's probably not the best one if you have trouble with stuff like that. My wife would not, for example, would not be able to have an Xbox One and troubleshoot it. It would stop working at some point, or something wouldn't read or something like that, and she'd just be like, "This doesn't work. It's broken." It's not really the case. You usually have to go around in the menus and play with it. I'll give you an example. It wouldn't read discs on startup because the disk drive just wasn't turning on. It wouldn't wake up. Had to go in and switch some settings around to make it, available on startup and what have you. And once I switched the settings around from sort of sleep mode to have to start up from scratch mode and then back again, it worked. It woke up the disk drive again on startup, and it was fine. But whatever update went through messed it up internally, and I had to go play with I had to Google it and go play with the settings and stuff, and works fine now. Works perfect, like brand new again. But it just, whatever update pushed through messed up some of them, and you had to go in and play with some settings to make it work again. So I did that, and it works great again. But otherwise, was making me restart it before it was going to read any discs. Weird. Now, as far as the machine itself, I'll tell you what I really, really prefer on the Xbox One S versus the PlayStation 4 is that there are USB ports in the back. That, to me, is like, oh my god, so much better. Because on my PS4, I just have the slim model. Now, the Pro has a USB on the back, but just the slim model does not. And so I have an external hard drive plugged into it, but it's plugged into the front, and I'm like, I wrapped the wire pretty good, and I taped it under, but it's ugly. It's got a wire sticking out of the front of it. I don't like it. Xbox One S, I have a hard drive on that as well, but it's plugged into the back. It sits nicely on top of the Xbox One S, and it's perfect. So as far as also the console, I'm going to say I like the look of both consoles. Both the PS4 Slim and Pro, I think, look very aesthetically pleasing. I think they're beautiful. I do think the Xbox One S, particularly the white one with the black, I think that's the best looking console on the market today. As far as like a piece to just sit out on your, because you have to look at this thing, right? It sits in your living room. As far as looking at it and having it sit out in your living room, I think it looks great. It's very classy. It doesn't take up too much space. It doesn't look like a big monstrosity, and it's nice and quiet. The fan works well. It cools really well. So as far as all that's concerned, I really, really dig that. Now, that's pretty much it. So the only other thing that's worth mentioning is there are two versions similar to the PlayStation of the Xbox One S versus the PlayStation as well. The Xbox One X is what's more or less the Pro version. It's pretty expensive still. You can get it on sale sometimes at like $350 or so, or $400. But full retail price is $500, $499. I've seen there's one right now on sale, $359, comes with Jedi Fallen Order. That's a pretty good price. Recertified ones go just under $300. So if you're gonna get a used one, right around $300. Now the nice thing about the Xbox One X is that it's sort of going to future-proof you a little bit. So if you weren't super concerned about getting the newest generation right when it comes out, but you want your investment to mean something because at the end of the year, a brand new generation of systems is going to come out. The PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Don't get me started on the names. PS5 is obviously fine. It's the PS5 clearly. But the Series X versus the One X. The One X will sort of future-proof you a little bit because it is 6 teraflops, and Xbox has already come out and said, yeah, we're not going to be doing any specific first-party games or any games specifically for the Xbox Series X until, for the first 2 or 3 years. It's going to be a very soft launch for Xbox. So the One X will really sort of future-proof you. I do find that some games do tend to lag a little bit more on the Xbox One S versus the PS4 if I've played them on both systems. Some of them they were just free, and it was like, oh, let's try it on both. And some of the freer stuff lags a little. Like Apex, I feel like ran better on PS4. It just did compared to my Xbox One S. Now these are just the base models. But the Xbox One X does play the most heavy-hitting, hardcore games, like the newest Modern Warfare, which is 140 gigabytes of space, and it's pretty intense. It runs a lot better on the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, but the Xbox One X certainly handles the high intensity, particularly when you're talking about having a lot of players on the field, on the map, and playing with the textures up as much as you can. The Xbox One X really handles it a lot better than the lower base models of that. So the Xbox One X will future-proof you a little bit for a couple of years. So if you just invest in one now, and you're not looking to buy any more consoles until maybe 2, 3 years, 4 years down the line, maybe consider upgrading. The Xbox One X is going to be your better bet if you can get a good deal. I wouldn't pay $500 for it. That's probably what the next generation is going to cost. Even $379, $400. Still a little too much, even if it comes with a game you want to play. So I don't know. That's sort of up to you. I didn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But if you can pick up an Xbox One pretty cheap and you don't have one and you're interested in Forza particularly is really good. Both Horizon and the Motorsport series is really good. That's definitely something to consider. Only other caveat to put in, and I have mentioned it before, if you're into subscription services for things, like say you just want to have a Netflix of games, the Xbox Game Pass is superior to whatever the PlayStation one is, the PS Now. The Xbox Game Pass is great. They put all their new games on it. Microsoft does, and there's a lot of really, really great titles on there. So if you haven't played a lot of them, look what's on there. If you haven't played a lot of them, that may be the way to go, because you can get the 1 terabyte all digital, and then Game Pass it's $1 for 3 months and then $15 a month after that, or they always do lots of sales and stuff to get you on to Game Pass, and I think Game Pass really is, for basically a Netflix subscription cost, you get hundreds, I think there's a couple hundred games on there, and they're really, really good games, really solid stuff, brand new stuff, third-party stuff, first-party stuff, really solid stuff. If you're going to go that route, or if that's appealing to you, I would absolutely not hesitate to pick up an Xbox and just go Game Pass and play whatever's on there, because I think a lot of fun is to be had in that, and it's very, very affordable. Probably the most affordable thing. It's basically cheaper than a Warcraft subscription would be, or it's as cheap as a Warcraft subscription. So really a worthwhile thing to look into if you're into that kind of thing, if that's something that you would want. To just have a subscription service with games available to you. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. I bought an Xbox One S in 2020, so maybe you should consider it as well. Yeah, I did buy it in 2020. Maybe you should consider it as well if you haven't got one, and racing games or shooting games are your thing. I think Xbox did that really well this generation, and it might be worth checking out now that everything's cheap. So that's my 2 cents. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers to you. I'll see you next time.